SEC filings have shown that Bob Iger made more than $30 million in the previous year, and yet somehow a decline from the previous year before that. At the same time, we see that Bob Chapek made almost $10 million from the Walt Disney Company in 2023, as he reemerges from the shadows to do business once more. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Jonas J. Campbell. I'm an investigative reporter from That Park Place, and with me is my good friend and compatriot, WDW Pro. Pro, how are you doing today?
Coming to you live from the sunny side of the Chapek archipelago down here in the South Pacific, where tiny umbrellas are all the rage.
You know, I hear he might be in California a little bit more these days. But of course, that is what we are about to talk about here. Thank you for joining me. Bob Chapek, of course, exited in the middle of the night for an Elton John concert and was never to be seen again from the Walt Disney Company. We have heard nothing from Bob Chapek since he got cut off right before Elton John did his live concert at Dodger Stadium. By the way, they just got an Emmy for that, so they're advertising it on Disney Plus. Pro, do you want to give a brief summation? I mean, like super brief summation of what happened with Bob Chapek, if somebody should happen to stumble on this video and not know what happened?
Here you go, folks. The former CEO of Disney, who was brought in following the departure of former CEO, now CEO Bob Iger, who, by the way, when Iger left, it was because of the pandemic. They thought Disney was going to tank. It didn't. Go figure. But when Chapek came in, he wanted to get Disney out of politics. He tried, was unsuccessful. Then he caved. Then they got into politics. Didn't stop the mob, not one bit, and so they eventually ousted him, brought back Iger. It's all about politics. And then we were all led to believe that Chapek had been a discouraged and disheveled man tossed out in the shadows of Hollywood, never to be seen again, sort of like how we were told by the drive-bys that Warner Brothers was going bankrupt until it wasn't 2 days ago. And the same is true with Chapek. Now he's back, and he's all the better for it, I would suppose, given what we're discovering now, Jonas.
Yes, sir. And there's only been one quote attributed to Chapek since his exit, and that was one for the 12,000-word essay and investigative work from Mr. Sherman over there at CNBC. He got a statement out of Chapek to say that he was proud of what he did at the Walt Disney Company. Which I think he should be proud of what he was able to achieve at the Walt Disney Company in the 30 years that he was there. Now, the reason we're bringing
he did Harmonious today, and he greenlit Deadpool 3. I think Deadpool 3 will be successful. Harmonious clearly was not.
Well, he also greenlit Daredevil Born Again, I believe, and that could be good after it's been retooled. The reason that Bob Chapek is in the news today, however, we're going to start with the reason no one's going to tell you about, and then get to the stuff that is a little bit more on the nose. And by the way, they're probably not going to tell you all the stuff we're going to tell you anyways. Bob Chapek, did you know that he actually, according to a new SEC document, he made $10 million, $9.940 million in 2023 from the Walt Disney Company. Also, that year he got fired, he made $24 million. So
wait a minute. I thought that Chapek was a despised and hated man, that Disney was not giving him not a single cent more. Jonas, you're telling me that Disney has been enriching Bob Chapek in the past year?
It seems to be. The checks.
Maybe that's why we haven't heard from Bob Chapek then, Jonas.
Maybe, like you said, like we often like to joke that he is probably off on a beach somewhere, sipping an adult beverage and just enjoying.
Good to be paid $10 million.
Just make sure you got some sunscreen on you, buddy. Don't want you to get burnt.
He can afford the good stuff. SPF 60 at least.
Another thing that's come out of this SEC filing is that beginning in fiscal 2021, MVL Productions, that is Marvel right there, for those of you who don't speak legal docs, a subsidiary of the company, that being Disney, contracted with a company wholly owned by Mr. Chapek's son, Brian Chapek, for B. Chapek's exclusive services for a 3-year period. He left, and now he's been rehired by the Walt Disney Studios here. So Mr. Brian Chapek is back at the Walt Disney Company, but that's probably not the Chapek you're here to find out about. You're probably here to find out why it is that Bob Chapek is in the news, and you'll never guess why.
What could it be?
Oh, well, he's sitting on the board. This coming out of a company called Massimo. Massimo announces a new member of the board of directors. January 16th, it's almost fresh. Irvine, California, via Business Wire, announced today that Bob Chapek has been appointed to Massimo's board of directors. Mr. Chapek was chief executive officer of the Walt Disney Company, one of the world's largest media and entertainment companies, from February 2020 to November 2022. You know, it's funny when they're called the largest media and entertainment company, according to Disney's definition, if you follow their statements about their board members, Disney is not a large media company. They are a media company. If they consider Facebook and Apple and all these other like AT&T, these companies to be media companies, then by that definition, Disney is teeny tiny and not really one of the largest media companies in the world. But
I also enjoy the way that this is worded because, it's as positive as can be, and that's what you would expect. What is not said here is that there was a shadow campaign against Chapek and that Bob Iger was sitting in a different position, but still maintaining his office and still hoarding control over the company. And so Chapek really had just about a 6-month window of actually effectuating change at Disney. And when he attempted to do so, of course, there was mass outrage in a company that had been lurched leftward by Iger. I also, Jonas, I want to bring up too. You mentioned something about the Heinz company. Is that correct?
oh yes, I didn't realize that Mr. Chapek at some point was in brand management for the H.J. Heinz company. Do you know anybody who has an association with Heinz?
Well,
There,
that
Jonas?
is interesting, Jonas, because one of the things that scared the living daylights out of the folks at Disney was that Bob Chapek apparently was favorable to Nelson Peltz getting on the board. And I seem to recall that Nelson Peltz has encountered the ketchup company in the past and turned it around.
Yes, he has, and he's made it into a much larger and stronger company. Of course, Chapek here, having experience in consumer goods, is a positive when hiring Chapek, but it's a negative when considering Nelson Peltz for the board. Of course, that's if you want more on that and how Disney is playing a little sleight of hand with saying they have more media companies and not so many consumer goods companies on their board. Then go check out a video from earlier today. Came out about 11 o'clock with me and Culture Casino talking about the shenanigans with the announcement from the Walt Disney Company for their board. Now, back to this. Before becoming CEO, oh, wait, we can't gloss over this. From February 2020 to November 2022, successfully leading Disney through the global COVID-19 pandemic and recovery. No one would disagree there. This is when Disney was on the rise. They got up to almost $200 a share. So if Chapek
Memory
wants to
serves me,
take,
I think they did hit briefly 200, not at closing, of course, but I think they did tickle 200. Bob Iger can only dream of those kinds of numbers. He's never achieved that.
yes, I haven't checked the stock price in the last few minutes, but they are, well, it's 90.24 at the time of this, and it's headed in the wrong direction. So they could be sub 90 again very soon. Now, not to kick the dog while it's to kick the mouse while it's down. Let's talk about Bob Chapek. Before becoming a CEO, Mr. Chapek served as chairman of Disney Parks Experience and Products. That products issue right here. That's of utmost importance because that was when Frozen hit really hard and became a merchandising sensation for the company. As head of Disney Consumer Products, he led a period of transformation in the worlds of play, storytelling, and learning. Absolutely correct. Chapek served as president of distribution for the Walt Disney Studios, where he managed the company's film content distribution strategy across multiple platforms. Again, doing a fantastic job at the time. One of the most good, well-performing segments of that for Disney distribution, and later president of Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment, where he led the organization to record-setting performances and played a key role in the commercialization of the studio's film business. This is very glowing right here, and none of it is incorrect.
And
Bro,
now that we have a comparison, let's consider today. Today, the Walt Disney Company basically doesn't have physical media. Back then, they did under Chapek. Back then, under Chapek, Disney Plus was seeing record growth. Today, it's stagnant at best in North America. Well, it really is stagnant. I mean, if you look at the total 1-year cumulative subscriber growth, it's flatlined. When you look at the products, well, Disney's in such a bad spot that it seems like they're a significant contributor to Hasbro's potential bankruptcy looming in the future. and that off of terrible retail sales when it comes to Star Wars and Marvel. Everything, and I'm not here to cheerlead for Chapek because I'm more nuanced than that. There are things that he did that I didn't care for, but all of that to say, you'd take the Chapek era in a heartbeat over the way that Disney is today. It's not
Right.
gone well for Iger in the least.
Now, which of these do you think is the Chapek era of Disney?
I can only surmise that one would want to climb the mountain to find him.
Yes.
Where is the wise man of the stock market mountain for the Walt Disney Company?
And of course, just pointing out that right down here, 89.28. Oh my, I hope that's not the current stock price. Did it hit that low recently? My goodness. Okay, well, let's move on.
It'll be a great earnings report, folks. Great earnings report coming up. And Jonas, I dare say that 2024 is going to be the worst year financially for the Walt Disney Company in modern history.
I think that you are very much correct in that. So let's talk about what's going on with Massimo right now and why it is so important. This company has a patent, I believe it's on an oxygen sensor that is used for reading oxygen levels in someone's blood. And Apple is the maker of, guess what? The Apple Watch, which has in it a sensor that it's believed to violate the patents of Massimo. Now, I'm not alleging that Apple did anything that they shouldn't have done here. I'm not alleging that they stole anything from Massimo. I'm just saying that Massimo seems to have a claim that they have a patent on that particular kind of technology. So right now, Massimo is in a huge battle with Apple. They could end up settling out of court if Apple wants to restore this very handy feature to their Apple Watches, which, by the way, if you had a little bit of trouble finding an Apple Watch recently, it's because Apple was forced to stop selling the ones that have that oxygen sensor, otherwise known as the most recent models of their very expensive watches. I don't know if the Ultras also got pulled off the market, but we're talking about an item that can get pretty close to $1,000 retail. So this is an important time for Massimo as a company, and they've decided to bring in a CEO of a company that does venture into the technology sector on a regular basis. So,
and a company, by the way, Jonas, that intersected on a large scale, I would say, with Apple regularly. What have we seen? Disney's been so excited that they're going to be on the Apple Vision or whatever their VR system is. Such a big deal, such a small consumer base. I think the relationships between Disney and Apple are probably such that having one Chapek on the board is advantageous.
Yes, I would say so. And it would be a shame for all of that business experience to go to waste, vacationing for the rest of Chapek's life here.
Although there is something to be said about tiny umbrellas.
Yes, there is. Retirement is not a shameful thing. In fact, one day I would like to go out with a stick in my hand and go out for a hike and turn around and say, you know what? I've thought of an excellent ending to my book. And he lived happily ever after to the end of his days. But I'm
hoping there's an ice cream stand somewhere in that wilderness you're venturing into. That's how I want to go out.
No. Whatever they have in the Shire.
Giant ice cream sundae.
Maybe a leaf of Old Toby. All right. Well, that being said, thank you so much, everyone, for staying tuned to the end of the video. Like this video if you like this video. But more importantly, where can they find you, Pro?
Well, folks, it's very hard to find me. I'm obscure and difficult. Oh, wait, no. My channel's the same name as the name right here, WDW Pro. Come check me out. New content 10:30, 3:30, and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time each and every day.
All right. Well, thank you so much. If anybody you know is interested in this kind of thing, please share it out with them. And, of course, consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.